Welcome to AA. I'll wait a couple minutes, let people come in. My sister is driving. Thank you. Wonder where you're driving to? Just because I'm being nosy. All right. So it is Thursday, AA night, day, morning, wherever you're at. Welcome to AA. I do 2 meetings a week. I do one on Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Then I do this one at 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Thursdays every week, unless if I'm going to be out of town or out of service area, which does not happen very often, but sometimes it does. Anyways, it has been a day, man. It has been a day. Crazy, chaotic day. My sister, she has done pretty good with the circumstances of today. She has not flipped her lid completely, which, I probably would have if all my stuff got soaked. I definitely would have been blowing my top. But we had a bunch of neighbors over here, and her place was being flooded by the place above her, which is my neighbor. And it was just a crazy, crazy mess. It's still a mess, but they are getting through it. And yeah, it was quite the chaos. In the least, it was just crazy. But we have made it this far, and she is doing okay for her circumstances and situation, as the neighbor guy is as well. We were all worried that there was something wrong next door and that, medical or something happened over there. And so we called the cops, and they were here and had to turn the water off from the street. And it was just crazy mess around here this morning. But we are all okay. Some damage has happened, but nobody got injured, and all is okay. Anyways, enough of that said. Sis, you did good. I know you got a long road, but you can make it. You got this. Um, anyways, enough of that. Please don't pass any judgment in the comments or the chat. This is a help group. It is not for jokes or being judgmental or being rude in the chat. So please refrain from doing that. Thank you. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Hi, Char, you made it! 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over the care of God as we understood Him. 4. Made a list of all persons, or made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defective characters. 7, humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continue to take personal inventory and when wrong, promptly admit it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. And because we are doing the traditions right now, I'm going to read those as well. 1, our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends upon AA unity. 2, for our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God, as He may express Himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants. They do not govern. 3, the only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. 4, each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. 5, each group has but one primary purpose, to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. 6, an AA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprises, lest problem of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7, every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8, Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9, AA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10, Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the AA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. And 12, anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. And I always put in the description what we're reading and what page and step or story or whatever it is. So we're on tradition 4, page 146. Each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. Anonymity is a $10 word, but in relation to us, it means very simply that every AA group can manage its affairs exactly as it pleases, except when AA as a whole is threatened. Comes now the same question raised in tradition 1. Isn't such liability foolishly dangerous? Over the years, every conceivable deviation from our 12 steps and traditions have been tried. That was sure to be, since we are so largely a band of ego-driven individualistic children of chaos. We have definitely played with every brand of fire, only to emerge unharmed and, we think, wiser. These very deviations created a vast process of trial and error, which, under the grace of God, has brought us to where we stand today. When AA's traditions were first published in 1946, we had become sure that an AA group could stand almost any amount of battery. We saw that the group, exactly like the individual, must eventually conform to whatever tested principles would guarantee survival. We had discovered that there was perfect safety in the process of trial and error. So confident of this had we become that the original statement of AA tradition carried this significant sentence: any 2 or 3 alcoholics gathered together for sobriety may call themselves an AA group, provided that as a group they have no other affiliation. This meant, of course, that we had been given the courage to declare each AA group as an individual entity, strictly reliant on its own conscience as a guide to action. In charting this enormous expanse of freedom, we found it necessary to post only 2 storm signals. A group ought not do anything which would greatly injure AA as a whole, nor ought it affiliate itself with anything or anybody else. There would be real danger should we commence to call some groups wet, others dry, still others Republican or Communist, and yet others Catholic or Protestant. The AA group would have to stick to its course or be hopelessly lost. Sobriety had to be its sole objective. In all other respects, there was perfect freedom of will and action. Every group had the right to be wrong. When AA was still young, lots of eager groups were forming in a town we'll call Middleton. I wonder if that's Middleton, Idaho. A real crackerjack had started up. The townspeople were as hot as firecrackers about it. Strategizing, the elders dreamed of innovations. They figured the town needed a great big alcoholic center, a kind of pilot plant AA group could duplicate everywhere. Beginning on the ground floor, there would be a club. In the second story, there would be sober up drunks and hand them currency for their back debts. The third deck would house an educational project, quite non-controversial, of course. In imagination, the gleaming center was to go up several stories more, but 3 would do for a start. This would all take a lot of money, other people's money, believe it or not. Wealthy town folks bought the idea. There were, though, a few conservative dissenters among the alcoholics. Ouch! Your head is heavy, dude. They wrote the Foundation AA's headquarters in New York, wanting to know about this sort of streamlining. They understood that the elders, just to nail things down good, were about to apply to the Foundation for a charter. These few were disturbed and skeptical. Of course, there was a promoter in the deal, a super promoter. By his eloquence, he allayed all fears, despite advice from the Foundation that it could issue no charter, and that venture, which mixed an AA group with meditation and education, had come to sticky ends elsewhere. To make things safer, the promoter organized 3 corporations and became president of them all. Freshly painted, the new center shone. The warmth of it all spread through the town. Soon things began to hum. To ensure foolproof, continuous operation, 61 rules and regulations were adopted. But Alice, this bright scene was not long in darkening. Confusion replaced serenity. It was found that some drunks yearned for education but doubted if they were alcoholics. The personality defects of others could be cured, maybe with a loan. Some were club-minded, but it was just a question of taking care of the lonely heart. Sometimes the swarm applicants would go for all 3 floors. Some would start at the top and come through to the bottom, becoming club members. Others started in the club, pitched a binge, were hospitalized, then graduated to education on the 3rd floor. It was a beehive of activity, all right. But unlike a beehive, it was confusion compounded. An AA group as such simply couldn't handle this sort of project. All too late, that was discovered. Then came the inevitable explosion. Something like that day, the boiler burst in Wembley Clapham factory. A chill, choke damp of fear and frustration fell over the group. When that lifted, a wonderful thing had happened. The head promoter wrote the Foundation office. He said he wished he paid some attention to AA. Yeah, you have to get down. Flip around like a dead fish. When that lifted, a wonderful thing happened. The head promoter wrote the Foundation office. He said he wished he'd paid more attention to AA experience than he did something else that was to become an AA classic. It all went on a little hard about golf score size. The cover read, Middleton Group number 1, rule number 62. Once the card was unfolded, a single pungent sentence leaped to the eye. Don't take yourself too damn seriously. Thus, it was that under tradition for an AA group has exercised its right to be wrong. Moreover, it had performed a great service for Alcoholics Anonymous because it had been humbly willing to apply the lessons it learned. It had picked itself up with a laugh and gone on to better things. Even the chief architect, standing in the ruins of his dream, could laugh at himself. And that is the very acme of humility. So I always have to be reminded when I read the books of those exact things of don't take yourself so seriously. Like today, for instance, I'm gonna read Tradition 5 after I talk about this. Today, there's nothing that any of us could do to change the outcome. So it was very stressful. My sister was on the verge of tears and upset and everything. And I kept telling her, we can't change what's happened. It is what it is. You're not going to change what's already done. And being mad about it and being upset is okay, but don't dwell on it because that's just going to make it worse on yourself. Just, chalk it up for a lesson learned and go on, and things will get better. And remember to laugh sometimes. I mean, yeah, stuff got destroyed, but things are replaceable. People are not. And when I saw that cop come up here and was trying to figure out how to get this guy next door awake or make sure he was okay, because we all knew he was home, but we didn't know where he was or if anything had happened. And when you're a neighbor, you want to check on your neighbor. And so we had all been banging on his door and slapping on the window, trying to get his attention. Well, nothing was getting this guy's attention. And so another neighbor brought down her tool and turned the water off. That's the only thing we could do. And the cop got here and she's like, I can't do anything until I have backup here. And so 3 more cops showed up and had to take the screen out of the window and reach through and unlock the guy's door and go in and make sure he was okay. That was my main thing was, is the neighbor okay? I mean, I know my sister's stuff is flooded, but they are okay. Their dog is okay. Is this guy next door okay? And so when they came back out and said that he was all right, I took a deep breath, like, thank goodness everybody's okay. But that's neighbors. And we were all really worried about him and wondering how come he was not answering his door with us all beating on the door. Even the cops were beating on the door and he did not come to that door. So they went in. But everybody is okay. Things are ruined, yes. But yeah, that was the best thing, that everybody was okay and nobody was hurt. Things are replaceable, people are not. So and we're going to read tradition 5. Each group has but one primary purpose: to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. Shoemaker sticks to thy last. Better do one thing supremely well than many badly. This is the central theme of this tradition. Around it, our society gathers in unity of this tradition. Sorry, I just read that wrong. The very life of our fellowship requires the preservation of this principle. Alcoholics Anonymous can be likened to a group of physicians who might find a cure for cancer, and upon whose concerted work would depend the answer for sufferers of this disease. True, each physician in such a group might have his own specialty. Every doctor concerned would at times wish he could devote himself to his chosen field rather than work only with the group. But once these men had hit upon a cure, once it became apparent that only by their united efforts could this be accomplished, then all of them would feel bound to devote themselves solely to the relief of cancer. In the radiance of such a miraculous discovery, any doctor would set his other ambitions aside at whatever personal cost. Just as firmly bound by obligation are the members of Alcoholics Anonymous who have demonstrated that they can help problem drinkers as others seldom can. The unique ability of each AA to identify himself with and bring recovery to the newcomer in no way depends upon his learning, eloquence, or on any special individual skills. The only thing that matters is that he is an alcoholic who has found a key to sobriety. These legacies of suffering and of recovery are easily passed among alcoholics, one to the other. This is our gift from God, and it bestows upon others like us is the one aim that today animates AAs all around the globe. There is another reason for this singleness of purpose. It is the great paradox of AA that we know we can seldom keep the precious gift of sobriety unless we give it away. If a group of doctors possess a cancer cure, they might be conscience stricken if they failed their mission through self-seeking. Yet such a failure wouldn't jeopardize their personal survival. For us, it will neglect those who are still sick. There is unremitting danger to our own lives and sanity. Under these compulsions of self-preservation, duty, and love, it is not strange that our society has concluded that it has but one high mission: to carry the AA message to those who don't know there's a way out. Highlighting the wisdom of AA's single purpose, a member tells the story. Restless one day, I felt I'd better do some 12-step work. Maybe I should take out some insurance against a slip. But first, I'd have to find a drunk to work on. So I hopped on the subway to Town's hospital, where I asked Dr. Silkworth if he had a prospect. Nothing too promising, the little doc said. There's just one chap on the third floor who might be a personality or a possibility. But he's an awfully tough Irishman. I never saw a man so abstinent. He shouts that if his partner would treat him better and his wife would leave him alone, he'd soon solve his alcohol problem. He's had a bad case of DTs. He's pretty foggy, and he's very suspicious of everybody. Doesn't sound too good, does it? But working with him may do something for you, so why don't you have a go at it? I was soon sitting beside a big hulk of a man, decidedly unfriendly. He stared at me out of eyes which were slits in his red and swollen face. I had to agree with the doctor. He certainly didn't look good, but I told him my own story. I explained what a wonderful fellowship we had, how well we understood each other. I bore down hard on the hopelessness of the drunk's dilemma. I insisted that few drunks could ever get well on their own. On their own steam, but that in our group we could do together what we could not do separately. He interrupted to scoff at this and asserted he'd fix his wife, his partner, and his alcoholism by himself. Sarcastically, he asked, "How much does your scheme cost?" I was thankful I could tell him nothing at all. His next question, "What are you getting out of it?" Of course, my answer was my own sobriety and a mighty happy life. Still dubious, he demanded, "Do you really mean the only reason you are here is to try and help me and to help yourself?" "Yes," I said. "That's absolutely all there is to it. There's no angle." Then hesitantly, I ventured to talk about the spiritual side of our program. What a freeze that drunk gave me. I'd no sooner got the word spiritual out of my mouth than he pounced. "Oh," he said, "now I get it. You're or I don't know what that word is, y'all. From some damn religious sect or other. What do you get that no angel stuff? I belong to a great church that means everything to me. You've got a nerve to come in here talking religion." Thank heavens I came up with the right answer for that one. It was based foursquare on the single purpose of AA. "You have faith," I said, "perhaps far deeper faith than mine. No doubt you're better taught in religious matters than I. So I can't tell you anything about religion. I don't even want to try. I'll bet, too, that you could give me a letter perfect definition of humility. But from what you've told me about yourself and your problems and how you propose to lick them, I think I know what's wrong. Okay, he said, give me the business. Well, I said, I think you're just a conceited Irishman who thinks he can run the whole show. This really rocked him, but as he calmed down, he began to listen while I tried to show him that humility was the main key of sobriety, or main key to sobriety. Finally, he saw that I wasn't attempting to change his religious views, that I wanted him to find the grace in his own religion that would aid his recovery. From there on, we got along fine. Now concludes the old timer. Suppose I'd been obliged to talk to this man on religious grounds. Suppose my answer had to be that AA needed a lot of money, that AA went in for education, hospitals, and rehabilitation. Suppose I suggest that I take a hand in his domestic and business affairs. Where would we have wound up? No place, of course. Years later, this tough Irish customer liked to say, my sponsor sold me one idea, that was sobriety. At the time, I couldn't have bought anything else. And that is how we work our steps around somebody who is still suffering and doesn't understand how we have made it work. So we have to always remember the things that we would shut out, like religion or any of those things, like money. Who of us has money? I sure didn't, and I still don't. And I don't plan on being rich, ever. But I'm realistically really rich in my sobriety, and that has made the whole thing worth it. I don't need to be rich with money or fame or things. I just need to be rich on my own sobriety and keep working my steps and delivering my message to the next alcoholic who still suffers. That is why I decided to do this type of service work. I do it here because I can reach more people who can't get out, who are stuck at home with no way of getting to anywhere. And that was me back in 2020 when we all couldn't go anywhere or be around anyone. That was hard. And so that was when I started my AA groups here. Is so that way I could reach the next alcoholic who still suffers and those who just need a meeting that they can't get out and go to a meeting. Because during the 2000 year, my sister celebrated one of her birthdays. There was no group, there was no meeting, there was no coins, there was nothing. So, because I have collected coins since I got sober, and usually I will get one from my sponsor and then I would get one from a meeting. Well, we couldn't go to meetings, but I already had two for that year of sobriety for her, because right after I got mine, everything shut down. And so we couldn't go to the meeting. And what I did was I decided on my own, and I went and talked to my parents because we were all at my parents' house. And so I decided that I was going to go ahead and host my forever first AA meeting solo by myself. And my parents were there. I think a couple of my sisters, I know my twin was there. My husband was there. I can't remember everybody that was there, but we were all family. And so what we did for her was I talked to everybody about it. And so she had no clue. But I gave her her meeting, her birthday meeting. It was not on a regular day. I think it might have been on her actual birthday, her sobriety birthday. And so I started reading now the big book. And I was like, well, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's really long. And you know what happened? Every single person around that table read that book. And my dad still likes to have a drink every now and then. But he still read out of that book. My dad does not like to read. He does not like to read, especially if it's out loud. And so when he picked up that book and he started reading that book, I was flabbergasted. I was like, holy moly, you know? But that was a great meeting. And when I first started my YouTube, I had been thinking, okay, I'm just going to do this for adventures and stuff. But then I started thinking about, what about those people that can't get out to a meeting? What do I need? There's something I need to do for that. And so, of course, I started asking my first friend over here on YouTube, which is Ava Potterfield and Friends. I asked her, what do you think about AA on YouTube? And she's like, I really don't know. And I was like, well, I've been thinking about it. And I'm not too sure about it either. But so I waited. I was like, I'm just going to go for it. And I started my meetings here. And that is the reason, is because reaching those who can't make it to a meeting. My sponsor doesn't get out very much anymore. And she doesn't get to go to regular meetings. And so she comes here. She is usually in my chat, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook or in a regular meeting. She is there. I don't think I've really gone to meetings without her, especially at the home group meetings, because that's where I met my sponsor, is at my home group. And so she's been my sponsor for 11 years. She's taught me how to help others, just as she has helped me. And she still helps me to this day. If I have an issue and I don't know how to get myself out of my feelings about, things, and I'm going bananas because I can't talk myself back into, breathe, take it easy, back it down, If I ever have to, I can call her at any time, day or night. And she has been an awesome sponsor to me. And I have insomnia some nights, and she's like, you can call me or text me on those nights too, because I have it too. And so knowing that I can do that, it helps. And being able to share my story here on YouTube and Facebook for everybody to know that there is a way and there's an out of alcoholism, and it's life going. You can't give up on it. You have to always work those steps and those traditions. They're right there on the forefront, just like your sobriety. All it takes is one slip. Um, I've gone to YouTube meetups and been around the alcohol and had somebody ask me with the big old bottle of my favorite. And I was like, nope. Recovering alcoholic, nope. My dad has it on his kitchen shelf, right out there in the open by his coffee pot. Doesn't bother me anymore. It doesn't bother me until somebody is not coherent and won't get a break of, I'm trying to help you right now. Just bring it down a notch. And it's hard to see somebody how I was and know that I can't make them get help. Makes me know how my family and friends felt. Like they couldn't help me unless if I was going to help myself. And thank you to that one friend that said, meet me at AA. I've been going ever since. And I plan on making it my lifelong. I don't need to be who I was before. But, so yes, we do know that we have to always be prepared for those who say, well, you're here on religious stuff, because I too have had that happen. One of my sponsees, she's not my sponsee anymore, but I talked her into starting her sobriety journey, and she said, I don't believe in God. And I was like, cool, you don't have to. And, she's doing really, really good. And I'm proud of everybody that is sober and who makes that first step. The first one's a hard one. Believe me, I still remember. It is a hard one. But anyway, that's it for the meeting today. Not a very long one. So, but just know that you can get through it. We're made to go through hard things. And sobriety is worth it. It's worth every single day of just pushing through, staying sober. And believe it or not, you might not think you're worth it, but you are. Somebody cares. Somebody loves you. Somebody is going to be there. I know that I pushed a lot of my friends and my family away, and some friends I got back, some I didn't. Some family I got back, and some just I don't want anything to do with at this point right now. So, but that's all because you can't help them if they don't want the help. But anyway. Oh, congratulations again, Lil, on your 11 years. You've done really good. I'm really proud of you. And everybody else who's sober today, good job. You got today. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. Love you guys.